Hello and welcome to my channel. Today's topic is chiropractic adjustments and how they literally change my life. When I was a teenager, I was told that I had scoliosis and I was standing in a very weird way because one of my shoulders was quite a bit lower than the other, and that was putting a lot of pressure on my spine. So from the outside, it did kind of look like I had scoliosis, and I thought I couldn't do anything about it and I would have to live like this all my life. The amazing thing is that I went to my chiropractor and he fixed it in just 3 visits. It cost me just €150 and I was standing straight for the first time in my life. I'm really not kidding when I say that it was the most mind-blowing experience in my whole life. So my first touch with chiropractors was when I brought my baby Leonardo to help fix his skull deformation. He had a very difficult birth, and so he had plenty of deformations in the shape of his skull. I didn't want to do any helmets or anything like that, so I felt that it was important to fix it properly with my chiropractor's help, and he specializes in baby skulls, so did an amazing job. And after a couple of months of treatments, my baby skull is now perfect at 9 months, so I'm very pleased. And after my baby, it was my turn to go to him and get checked out. I wanted to get checked out postpartum because I was still having pelvic girdle pain and just lower back pain. I felt that something wasn't right after giving birth, and that's what I wanted him to have a look at. But I had no idea that he would be able to fix my shoulder spine situation as well. He checked me over really thoroughly for 15 minutes or so, and then he told me that my spine, my pelvis was actually twisted. So my hips, instead of being straight, they were kind of like this, and so the shoulder was also kind of like this to compensate for it, and that was putting a lot of pressure on all the muscles supporting the spine, because it takes much more work to keep you standing vertical when you're like this. So every single move that for a normal person would have been effortless, for me it was really hard work. All the muscles had to work overtime, and that explains why I always had really sore, tired muscles in my back after long walks and things like that. And even exercising some movements like, for example, plank, which is much more difficult for me than for any statistical person. Also, because of the twisted pelvis, my birth was really difficult as well. My baby was in a brow position, kind of sideways as well, precisely because of that twisted pelvis. So fingers crossed, the next birth is going to be a breeze, because now my pelvis is all in alignment and it's all open. Also, periods should be much easier now because the whole position of my womb and the position of the cervix is much better now. I also wasn't able to stand straight in terms of my shoulders for a very long time as well. Because of all this misalignment on my spine, if I tried to pull my shoulders straight, I felt this real pressure and pulling in my middle back, so I just couldn't stand straight even if I wanted. Even if I tried to stretch them out, I just couldn't. But after those 3 treatments, I was able to stand straight again, and it was just incredible to see myself in the mirror. If you're wondering if chiropractic adjustments are actually painful, they're honestly not. There was hardly any cracking involved, hardly any pain. Some uncomfortable feelings, yes, but not actual pain, and just a few little cracks. There's nothing like, if you try to Google what chiropractic adjustments are, there's so much misinformation, so much fear-mongering, and it's not like that at all. If you choose a really good, qualified, very experienced chiropractor, it's just amazing. The way he diagnoses you, the way he understands whether things are in alignment, it's just fascinating. It's like lifts your arm, lifts your leg in different ways. It pushes on your arm and you have to keep it up. There's just so many interesting ways for him to see how your muscles and your bones work together. So all in all, I paid €60 for my first visit and then €50 for the next 2, and in 3 visits, €160 later, I was perfectly fine standing straight, and I could instantly exercise so much better. I was more flexible and also strong at the same time. So things like push-ups and planks suddenly were so easy, and everything was really good for a while. And then 5 months later, I started having quite a lot of stomach issues and acid reflux and just weird things happening in my belly, and I also felt like my ribs were out of place. I realized that I probably had something called the clicking rib syndrome, where the lower ribs keep getting out of line, and when you move they kind of click. So I decided to go back to him and see if he could help me with that as well. And it's amazing because he said, yes, my stomach was definitely very much out of place, and I had something called hiatal hernia. It's something that is very common postpartum, actually, because the pregnancy itself, the growing baby pushes on the stomach, and also the birth itself, the pushing and everything also can push the stomach out of its place. And what hiatal hernia is, basically the stomach or part of the stomach comes out of the diaphragm, and it shouldn't really do that normally, but it does come out of the diaphragm, and then it puts a lot of pressure on the chest because it's not supposed to be there. So you feel these weird pressing feelings in the chest, like you can't breathe in properly, you can't breathe out properly. And it can also cause acid reflux because that valve that keeps all the acid in the stomach doesn't work properly when the stomach is out of its normal place. So he moved my stomach back into place, which was slightly uncomfortable, but definitely not painful. And I instantly felt so much better. He said I would need another treatment, so 2 treatments in total, and I would be fine. So when I got out of his clinic, I felt really weird for the first day. I was in so much pain. I felt literally broken. Every single bone in my back hurt, my ribs hurt, everything hurt. I couldn't even lift Leonardo, or I couldn't lift anything at all for a couple of days. Also because the stomach was suddenly in a different position. I felt like it was pressing on the lungs. I couldn't breathe in. I felt like I was kind of hyperventilating. It was really weird, very, very uncomfortable. But 2 days later, everything stopped hurting, and I realized that for the first time in many, many years, I was able to breathe with my belly instead of my chest. So I was able to breathe in and breathe out deeply, effortlessly, without making a conscious effort, which is amazing. So now I realize that I had the hiatal hernia, or the stomach being out of place, for a very, very long time. And still now to this day, it's been I think a month since he fixed my hiatal hernia, and I can still breathe properly, and that's very, very nice. Second time I went to him, there was hardly anything to be done, just very minor adjustments, and he said that if it ain't broken, don't try to fix it. So I was basically fine, pretty much fine after just first treatment. And it's so incredible how he was checking if the stomach was okay or not. He was pressing something here just under the collarbone, and when the stomach was out of place, when he was pressing it, it was so sore. It was such a sore point. And then the next time I went to him, he pressed it, and it was tiny bit sore, very, very little compared to before, maybe 10%. And then he made another little adjustment, and then he pressed that point again, and it wasn't sore at all anymore. So at that point, he said my stomach was perfectly fine. So interesting. My chiropractor says that I should really get checked out every 6 months or so, especially because I'm breastfeeding, and while you breastfeed, there's still the hormone called relaxin running around the body, which causes a lot of flexibility in the joints and bones, so things can easily get out of alignment. So it's important to keep an eye on it. So I'm definitely going to keep getting checked out every 6 months or so. Also, I feel that it was very helpful to combine the chiropractic adjustments, which are the adjustments of the spine, of the bones, with sports therapy, which is a really strong sports massage, which works on the tissues. So once you fix any kind of misalignments in the spine, there's still all the muscles with knots that are tense in the wrong areas. And I feel that it's important to treat those muscles as well. I am very happy to be standing straight now. So if you have any kind of issues like this, don't be afraid to try chiropractic adjustments. Just make sure you choose a really experienced and good one. Make sure you read lots of reviews or just listen to any recommendations from your friends and family, but they can be life-changing. Our conventional medicine still knows so little about these things, and they often just write us off saying they can't help us, or they misdiagnose us, like in my case. They said I had scoliosis, which wasn't true at all. But chiropractors can really give our life back to us, to our babies and kids as well. So don't be afraid to try. And if you would like to share your experience with chiropractic adjustments, leave a comment down in the comments, or just leave a comment to say hello. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.